cancel culture tactics being used against unvaccinated and no maskers. What can proprietors, shopkeepers do to indicate that although they are putting up signs for legal requirements stating that they are complying with mandates, that they think that it's ridiculous? And finally, what can children do to help solve this problem? Because I think that's the real answer. I think it's one big answer in this problem is through children. So cancel culture tactics definitely are being used against this in this pandemic. You're being named and shamed. And I think more what this touches upon, though, is the authoritarian attitudes of cancel culture. And this is prevalent. Authoritarian attitudes are prevalent related to pathogenic diseases. So pathogenic diseases cause authoritarian attitudes. That's why the right always wants to have their borders and their boundaries and keep the foreigners out. Those are authoritarian attitudes. This is psychological theory. This is known, established research that explains this phenomenon. And I've been saying it since the beginning of this COVID-19 stuff, that it's going to confer more authoritarianism. And people will buy into it out of fear and a need for safety, a need to be away from those diseased others, those unvaccinated. Right. They have to be away from them. They have to separate them. They have to put the clear boundary up. We have to label people with masks. You're complying. Okay, you're okay. You've got a double mask. I can see. You've got two different colors of mask on. Even better. That's what people want to see. It's purely visual, right? Because you can't see the virus, but you want to see the mask, or two of them, even better. That's what they want to see. So as far as shopkeepers, there's a real risk there. It has to be done on a case-by-case basis. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Shopkeepers are they're all different, right? You can have a big grocery store. You can have a small place that does maybe a nail salon or a hair salon or something. They're all going to be different. As for the smaller places, they run a real risk if they signify that they think this is ridiculous bullshit of pissing off some people who are then going to report them, who might report them to some government agency that would do an inspection, and somebody's going to get a bug up their butt and say, well, we're going to find a problem here, and then get them. And they'll do that. That's why we've got so many laws in the books. It's always going to be something. You're doing illegal things all the time. You probably don't even know it. There's so many laws in the books. So they'll find something to get them for. So there's a real risk there. A better solution would be to get to know your customers. I go in a lot of establishments without a mask on. So once in a while you run into this fucking asshole customer who's like, and they'll want to single you out and make a big deal out of it. That's a very small percentage of the population. I hate those motherfuckers. They annoy the fucking hell out of me. But, sometimes I comply with that, or sometimes I just leave if they're like that. I'm like, okay, looks like we're having an issue here, so I've got to get out of here. But usually I just go along with it, and I'll put the mask on while in the presence of that individual. So that's what some establishments, some shops can do. Now, as far as kids go, here's where there's a real solution for a problem that doesn't benefit them at all, right? We're talking about vaccinating kids. We're a very low risk group. Now, kids can provide the reasonable argument that they don't want to comply with this. And this comment was deleted from the comments section of the YouTube video. YouTube kept deleting it. And I didn't say vaccine, I said mRNA drug. I said refuse to comply, civil disobedience, and minors. And those were the key words that somehow triggered YouTube to delete that comment. I don't know. This seems to be happening so quickly that it must be algorithmic. I don't think anybody's reading it that fast and deleting it. So what I suspect they do is they put it into a proxy pool, and then they vet the comment through some algorithmic process, and then it appears live seconds later, maybe 10 or 30 seconds later. I don't know. I don't know how that process works, but it seems to be something like that. Because you submit the comment, less than 30 seconds later, it's gone. The comment was that minors can refuse to comply with the vaccine mandates. So, well, here you're asking me to consent to something. I don't consent. You know, we have somebody trying to perform the procedure on me, a nurse practitioner or somebody. They're going to inject me with something. I don't consent to this. I don't consent at all. No. And what is the person doing the injection going to do? Are they going to hold that minor down? Probably not. Probably they're going to say, well, we can't force you to take it. Most likely that's what they're going to do. And if they do hold you down and force you to take that vaccine, then, you know, that's a big deal. That's like, we got to get that on camera and we got to see that. This is what it's really coming down to. It's coming down to physically restraining people and force medicating them, if it comes down to that. If. I don't think it will. I think in most cases, the administrators of the vaccines or mRNA drugs aren't going to do that. They're going to say, well, okay, we're not going to go there. And in fact, many cases, you might not even have to go to the location to get that done. You know, the kid could just say, hey, I'm not going to do it. I refuse to wear a mask in school. I'm at low risk, and I don't want to comply. I don't comply with this. I don't consent to it. And I don't agree to take these drugs. I won't. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do with a kid who refuses to comply? Are you going to kick him out of school? Great. Great. I never consented to being forced to go to school anyways. And that was me. So I always hated school. And so those are just a few creative ways to cancel culture, as my shirt says. And so another good compelling reason why kids can refuse to consent to these vaccines or drugs is that they have to pay for them. You say, hey, look, you're forcing me to take a medication for which there almost no benefit is conferred. Like if I get COVID, I'm healthy and I'm not going to probably get that sick. But there are some known risks and perhaps some future long-term unknown risks of taking this. And furthermore, I don't consent to it anyway. It's my body. And I'm going to exercise my right of bodily autonomy and consent and say no. I don't consent to you inserting anything into my body. I don't consent to that. And I don't consent to having to pay back principal and the interest on the debt that the government has funded the pharmaceutical companies with. I don't want to have to pay that back in the future. I don't think anybody should have to. All right. So there's several reasons why children can refuse to go along with these vaccine mandates. And it's always good to have good reasons so that you can explain why you've done this. But if you can't articulate it well, if you don't want to go out on that limb, at the very least, you can say, it's my body and I don't agree to you putting any drug into it. I'll make that decision. If I want to, I'll do it, and I don't want to, so I'm not going to do it, and you can't make me. If you want to throw me out of school, you want to prevent me from going into school, okay, but I'm not going to take these drugs. So that's what I would suggest. I would suggest that minors who don't consent, who don't want to consent to this, can have allies in adults who will respect them highly for the decision if it's made with good reasons.